switch.
And hand over the mic to Alden.
Okay, hello, my name is Alden Swinger. I'm the Cultural and Language Coordinator here at BFCC. You know, a lot of this cultural and stuff has been, you know, a lot of our people have not been participating in it, and so that's why we scheduled this for all staff, all faculty meeting. We just want you guys to start taking more part in the culture, integrating it into your curriculum, and, you know, represent where you work. Blackfeet, that's where it starts, okay? We're at the Blackfeet Community College. From our last speaker, Mr. Larry Croce, he spoke about the smudge, so we're gonna, we'll have a smudge first, and then Mr. Dr. Bruised Head will do his presentation.
Okay. I don't know if you can hear me now. I'm going to pray in Blackfeet. All of you, say your own silent prayers, or if you're confident, pray out loud. Nothing wrong with that. Pray for your loved ones. Summer's coming around, ceremonies, graduations, travel, powwows, rodeos, relays, whatever. Safe travels, and how you leave your door. When you go through outside your door, that good anticipation of where you're going and coming home, same way, coming through your door. With all your experience of 1 day, 2 day, month's travel, all good coming to your house. That way you have your own good medicine, good energy in your house. I will pray now. Ayo napi natus. Ay nakanatu itapio kak. Kitokatsin katsumatpinan. Kokomiki sumi pisos pachtip. O kiksakkommitapi. Ay näitä vuoksikkinä supukaa tuupinanis tuji kak. O kikan kaagat siitä mä saski muku. Okat siitä mitä skuikas pinan kak. Saski muku enigma tuiskuik. O kakot siitä mä sainsku. Itä mä toissa tuupinan ensknuh kova tuupinan skan aamianst siinskuiskak. O kenskak nuh täsukin napiut siis pinan. Ajo napi naatuussa kaakis pummukina no skaapikani. Siksi kaakka enää patkusi pikani. Enä kaassi tapio kaakki tapiskoksi, niin kaak mä tuumää tapiutsi päätapiussoi kaakki. Ooki kaak niin tuiskoo kaakis psi naapiskini maatstoksini kaakki. Ahki taamassa puu kaatuu mennä käsksini maatsaa. Ook muukseskini maatskokiiksi ahki taamoistumatsia. Enä kaassi tapio kaak su kaapii kaak. Enä kaak uhtaakaa päin. Iksi kahkaan ja päätöpiuassa tuu painii päätöpiussa nikaakin. Ajo naapi naatuussa ka kimmukina, no käämaakatta kukaan siis tamiksi pukaiksi muuttuu ka natsu. Okenaka ninämska, okenaka ouka, okäämitsi, no katso ahkanita, niin tuiskoka no atsumuiska, no okenaka, no katso atsumuiska, nyt kun ei tomannista stuupaak, kun omiansta tsumuiskan, kun omiansta meitaksen. Istse päätäpiukis on neka johoni toutsekskaan nikaa käätsemuiska. No käämaama tuussemaan. Ahkaak nuhtaapaa umata paatuuppinaan kissi kuikaat. Ookas koksu kaapia nikaak nuhkan staakaa päätse nikaa muoksinista piimikkaak nuoms kaavipikani kitskeiksuukui. Ajo naapi naatuussa kimmaatuukin. No nukuussiksi nissukuussiksi. Mä tässä puutua niistä kaiksaaki. Ooki kimmistä miksi pukaiksi. Aika kauan staapi keipissä punnu kaakio kaaki. Ahkot siitä mäsää paskaa. Ooki kaaki takaa kaaki. Pottaa kaaki. Niin tuisko apaumahkaa. Kimmaatuuka. Ooki ninästä kun ni kaak mansta kuispia ni kaak Issitsio ka ku touju pika jakko tsiitaaksu kussi. Ai ka kimmaa tuukina. No ki ka kana kastsistumia ka kio ka ko nuutta satumuan ka kuukui. Nää sukaapi. Ooki nää piuasin kaamutaan. Kiitaami puhuspinaan. Säästöasi nukuusneksi. Saapaa tuupinaan nukunnan. So keitaa umakka tuupinaan ikään kuin muhsu kuikaan. Ooki nää piuasin kaamutaan. Sipäätö pilsun, sami päätö pilsun. Säästövatsemaan kaamutaan ikään. Put it over there. There you go. Up there now. Yeah. See if you could take this off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Ei taamiksi kanaatuni. Ei taamiksi kanaatuni. No katsi taamään nää tuosuuta miskappi. Kenä Acknowledging Piiksi ja amskaaputista mikä katkonoota. Kerkii taamään sains, konniskaak miin soatuupistaskaak. Kenika mä naaksasksi mukui kerkot siitä mitaatis kuikas. Good morning everybody. We all met the sun. That's a gift itself today. Some people in the world did not see the sun come up around the world. We're into the season where the birds that went south, some of them flying back north, Acknowledging Piiksi, so all kinds. And the leaves and the berries, those things we eat and those medicines that we use. And the green grass, just like those moccasins there. Our boots, our runners, our shoes, our moccasins, the toes to be green with the grass color, fresh grass. I've been introduced, and I won't take too much because it'll take 2 hours to keep talking about myself. And I've got a presentation to do. And I know some of you people really like otoki. One guy right there, he could eat all by himself buffalo otoki sitting right here. Anyhow, I'm going to take you on a journey. I understand there's community members, maybe the odd student and staff, and I don't feel out of place when I come across. I have a lot of relatives. My grandpa, great-grandpa, Mike Blood, Abspinokopi, or Mike Merchant as listed here in the tribal enrollment books. I'm also the descendant, like many of you, of Holy Bear Woman, Naduch Kayaki. Every year, for some reason, I can't make that date. And I'm going to pray on it because I want to sing for my great-great-grandma, one of the survivors. I got a song for her to commemorate because if she didn't make it, did not survive, I sure as heck will not be standing here today. I gave her all the credit. So I'm going to take you on a journey. I'm going to include language, history. But these 2 questions I'll start with. And I got a collage of pictures, and I didn't want to write it out, read it, and yet verbatim seeing on the screen. You know, I've been to a lot of presentations where the person is actually reading their own work, and you're wondering, freelance, you know. Speak from the heart in your head, your natural thought process. So, Ninna Piiksi is my name. In all of us sitting here, either our Blackfeet names arrive from the animal kingdom, the spiritual world, the earth. How in tune we are as Blackfeet, Blackfoot people of our culture. And sometimes we don't realize it. All the ceremonies that there's no human song, no song that is composed by a human. Ganapa polka, ganapi satap. It's all from dream and mystical experiences of songs. Those songs that have been passed on to us. The dreamer, and imagine those could be one, could be several, of thousands of years ago. They dreamt about it, or something magical came to them. And how that one person or a group of them started this whole the 1,000-year-old transfer process of ceremony and the smudge. Amatosima. That also came from a dream, from Natosi to Boakski, Scarface. Even the sweat, even the rocks, everything we used. San, Utkwesan, Sekir, Utskwe, the red, the yellow, the black, all the paints we use, even the white. It wasn't manifested by human alone or from a book. And so through that dream world, imagine the oral transmission of knowledge. 20, 30,000 years ago, those in an elder sitting in the teepee in the Buffalo Lodges back then, writing a book and telling you, read this now, sa. We have sharp listening. Sharp ears. And that sharp ears, and I'll elaborate a little bit more. Sometimes I think about having sharp ears. You know, why our neurons in our brains, are they superior? Are they better? Is that where we have long-term memory? We never wrote things back in the day. And sometimes, even for me, when I write something, I wonder if I'm going to forget this. I'm going to lie down, lie across this table. And so you take that, and I'll get back to that process of thought. So I'm going to talk about waterbeds to mountaintops and beyond. And let the show begin. Okay, what is land-based learning? Stapi muhkam istots kinimas tukatopi ksakwe. Kipata pilsenun, land-based learning. Tanstapanisina, what is traditional ecological knowledge? Kistunnun, siksikaits tapi. Skuchtika kistunnun, nukanstois tumatso tupi, no ksakwe. I just said everything in Blackfeet, land-based learning. I said everything in traditional ecological knowledge. It is not new stuff to us, but we'll delve it in today. Before I delve into that, and I am assuming there's a lot of Zoomers out there, do not AI me, like you just had a presentation. There's been a lot of pirating of elder information, where people have written books, presentation, without acknowledging, citing, referencing those elders or people, does not necessarily be old, the information they gave out. So those that are listening, I guess both sides of the country, if you can use one line of mine, put Ninna Piiksi at the end. I'm boldly saying that. I've had material used by other people, and I just happened to go to that conference, that class, and I just said that a few months ago, a few years ago. And they presented as if it was theirs. And a lot of elders in the past have experienced that. 50s, 60s, they got taped. All good stuff. So those that are online, I will say that you will not compromise my presentation. I will say to all of you that you will be respectful to what I'm going to say today. There's just too much of pirating, hijacking, all of that, acculturation, especially by non-native, non-tribal people. It's out there. And sometimes I wonder if I'm going to be in a whole bunch of books, reading my material, but I'm not mentioned. It's not the fact I want to be mentioned, but how many people go through that where they divulge a lot of information and somebody claims it. Itpuansia, itakamu satomia, itamatapsinemia. They write about it, they claim it. So that's my qualifier for this morning, but all of you, you're Blackfeet, you know that respect. I'm already just talking to the preacher, already to the preached here. You already know that. You are respectful to your parents, grandparents. And we still have that. That's one of the big things as Blackfeet, Blackfoot people. We have even they're gone, we hold our grandparents, great-grandparents in very high esteem. I know all of you have that. You got memories. And that's what I'm going to talk about. Okay, next one. I'm going to begin from the waterbed. Ame Iniskim, sitting right in the water. How somebody walking through there. The Iniskim has been around for probably 1 million years in the water. And you take it out, it looks like that. We don't just put it in our pocket. We have a ceremony. We have a ceremony. We go beyond science, Western science. All these, we have a story where Western science measures it, dates it, the color, and a little bit dry. It's okay. But we tell probably 75–80% of the story, our story. Imagine as 6 gates at the peaks, as Blackfoot, Blackfeet people, how many in the world, in North America, Canada, do the Iniskim transfer ceremony, paint ceremony, song? And I could sing a song here, but I won't. Somebody might be taping me.
Recording in progress.
And so, recording in progress. And so imagine from this, the water, sometimes on the banks, sometimes in the prairie, the buffalo stone. Iksipisataps. And how the buffalo spirit came to the woman. long time ago. Imagine even our dreams, papoka, are for us. If it was over there, they would have the same process of when you find a inisk, but they don't. In your travels, wherever you go, ask those tribal people, have they heard of Buffalo Stone Rock? Maybe they might say yes, but maybe no. We're so gifted here, no, kitauksen nun, our territory, and the land that the Creator, we can't say it's my land, our land. The Creator put us on this part of this whole world. There's no other country, no other tribal people all over the world that understand Iniskim. We're the only ones. We're the only ones. That's the four. Nisoi. The first is the physical. Secondly, he starts getting into the spiritual realm. Third, you're halfway between the physical and the spiritual realm. And the fourth is the spiritual gift. Why four? Why we go hold somebody's hand? Why something like that? And I just did that to the blanket. I appreciate the blanket. I prayed for it. So moving on. Here's a bare rock. Star Rock and Bear Rock. Look at that marking on the rock. And there's a lot of rocks in our lands, underground, exposed. And actually, I didn't take the picture close up. It's about this big with that. Star Rock, kakato sohkutok. Some of these words, old people went with them. Kakatu sohkutuk, Star Rock. And we wonder, how did these markings happen to come around? And some rocks you probably have found, they got squiggly marks, and some, and just like that one, could be a buffalo or a bear. Lying close to the riverbank. And like I said, from riverbeds, all that knowledge from the riverbed, the rocks, the water, to land. And today I'll go up, way up there and come back down. So let me take a bite of land-based learning. It is being taught, and I hope those that are teaching are not just house people, house Indians, house whatever, or library. I'm not kicking libraries, I'm not kicking books. But when you combine land-based learning and ecological knowledge, it's not a new phenomena to us. Those are our ancestors. The new book, Carl Davis, 600 generations, that's just the starting point. 18,000 years. And we go way, way beyond. How did we come to know the word istunnatapsiks? Dangerous beasts, dangerous animals. And you take Pulaski when he, in the mystical story, became friends with Morning Star, Ipisoas. Ipisoas calls on him to help him get rid of the monsters that were killing and eating people at the Pioiks. So you could see that realm. We even have stories for monsters. Maybe today we call them dinosaurs. The T-Rex, those big birds with sharp teeth, all those things, and I don't know the accurate drawings. But we've been doing land-based from the beginning of time. It's just that recently it's been transformed into the academic setting, the colonial setting sometimes. And I don't mind it when people have actually walked the earth, the ground, went outside. But then it kind of bothers me when some people have read their knowledge from the book. And that's their gospel. Instead of that real learning, ni taps ksinimats toksin, ni tapukak okaksin. Real learning, real knowledge. And we talk about traditional ecological knowledge. Who are the best people? Us, we. So let me throw a pitch here. Like I said, we're going to go on a journey. You have invited a lot of elders in from your own. I would say my great-grandparents, grandparents, they all are PhD holders. The differentiation is in academics, it's all written. And you're tested, you read 200 books, citation. You take needs our way of knowing. So Blackfeet Community College, give your own PhD degrees, plaque, certificate, whatever you want to call it, to your elders. Give it to them. Elders have been invited to universities. And if those instructors already knew that, then why are they taking notes from the elders? Because sometimes as PhD holders, they think they're up here. It's kind of a systemic kind of approach. And here's our elders, they don't raise themselves up, they're still part of the people. The white man's education somewhere here elevates you, or they elevate themselves. I like the word Dr. Mike Bruised Head, but when I'm with my people, I kind of get shy, you know? I don't know what doctors are supposed to do. I can only give prescribed Vicks and Pepto-Bismol, I think, you know? Aspirin, maybe, I don't know. But even that word, doctor. So you take these, and maybe all of you will be drawn to the river a little bit more, to the water. I have friends that collect rocks. I have friends that don't need to look. They find an inisk. I got other friends, 8, 10, 15 years, I have not found an iniskim. Always looking around. And to me, when people find those, that is a gift. Ma kita mo noa ma iniskim. You see it, and you happen to walk, man. And your friend over there walking 10 miles this way, nothing. You know, just like Punukaki, still walking around Punukaki. But some are so gifted, and some are not even native people. But there's something in tune from the natural world, just like that. It's tskonoia, the magical finding. It's tskonoia. I'm using old Blackfoot right now. I did not speak English till I was boarding school. And I talk about my great-grandfather, Mike Blood, whose mother is Holy Bear Woman. And they talk about their grandparents. We're talking about Blackfeet language from late 1700s, early 1800s. What they talked. Imagine when we say old style Blackfoot language. Way, way, way back. So, go on to the next one. Ame niitkta, mukwan siitkta, Belly River. Winter time. We have a saying, and I'll just go up to the screen. I don't know if you have a stick or anything. Who's got a real stiff belt? I'll just point this out. Make sure I'm not tied in. You see this? It's starting to melt. We have a saying, when that ice starts melting like that, and it goes up, it starts widening all the way like that, and the water shows. The old people will say, akapyu. I thought about that word, akapyu. It's walked or gone far. Water and ice are spiritual. Animate, like we all say in this room, everything has a spirit, even the ice. Koni, ice. Gonsko, snow. So when it starts thawing out and it goes up the river, or down river, or up the river, next day, more opening, more water. Akapyo. And then sometimes when it's clear, a little bit of the ice there. And you hear that sound of the ice. Kind of like a cracking sound, but it doesn't sink in. That sound, we say, pakotoke. Pakotoke. The sound of ice. River, or especially lakes and ponds. Itapakotako. It makes a sound. Pakotoki. A lot of these words not being used. So, that log house you see right there, that's where I was delivered to come into this world. And I'm pretty proud of it, that my grandmother and my great-grandmother, as they call it, scratch my back. They call them midwives today. They delivered me. Some complications, which are visible today, But I almost didn't make it. So it must be magical, spiritual. First seconds of my life almost did not happen. But I've heard my grandma tell, Anaki Pitaki, her grandmother, my great-grandmother, prayed lots. Prayed lots. And after that bumpy road, grass road, was taking the carts. And I lived way down edge of the blood reserve. So you put all that together, and there used to be a whole line of trees all through here. And on this side, I should have moved earlier, old buffalo jump, and it's sunk in skulls. I did not tell the archaeologists, anthropologists. I don't want them around my place. Because even though my family, my great-grandfather, when they found them, and he knew, they're not going to name that finding Mike Blood buffalo jump or Ops Binokopi buffalo jump. That ego of archaeology, anthropology, they probably give it Dr. Joe whatever. They'll put their name just because there were doctors and no recognition. So my second point here's now Pikani. All your sites here, Grinnell, all those, you give them Blackfeet names. Take it back. This is our territory. I am working on the mountains on that side of the border for Blackfoot, Blackfeet names. All these people, you can look at the map. I look at Waterton map. I don't know, and I will never know those people. Those names do not even have a story. Those names, you can't even hit a drum and sing a song. They're from way over there, across this big water. Well, imagine if we're all millionaires here and we invaded those countries and we gave them Blackfeet names in reverse. I will call every river and mountain I can find. Like, we'll have a mad race like what they did. Ninna Piiksi mountain, Ninna Piiksi pound, Ninna Piiksi deer, on and on and on. In reverse. We have to push that mentality back, but because it's suppressive. We got to bring back our freedom of thought. Kistunno nitaksim stopi, our own thinking. Nitaksim stopi. Sure, we all went to high school, elementary, middle school, everything. Fine dandy. Nothing wrong with it. I'm not calling it down, not calling education down. But the process in the natural elements. This morning I got up. Mind you, I almost froze in there. I pushed the wrong button. The cold air, Just had an icicle here. Anyways, my window's to the west. and the sun was just coming up, just that orangish color. Magnificent. Nita pitsua pipata piup. We have a beautiful space in our geography, in where we live, where we came from, where our ancestors from time, even before Ice Age. But somehow, studies, they'll give it to another tribe, the name here. Why are they so worried and scared of calling it the Blackfeet people have been here for 30,000 plus years? They can't say that. It's like they have to, all of a sudden, okay, well, where the heck did we come from? And yet our point of origin's here, Napi stories, all from here. Kistunno nanmei tsipatapio, tsipatapio bishkuki, the Creator put us here. And I want to go across to Asia, see if somebody's got my bloodline. The Barinja theory. You open every environmental book, the preface, the foreword, chapter 1, anthropology, archaeology, geology, all the ologies. Barinja theory. Me stutu pamatu, pkai kunskui Apastan, the ice bridge, Apastan bridge. And then we scattered. Well, how come we don't have a song from there? And nothing against our Asian brothers and sisters, but we don't sing like them. We don't talk like them. We don't dress like them. So why? And you Google, you research, that came from schools such as Oxford University, whatever other universities across there. And this idea. Sometimes I wonder, I don't know if you have that chocolate bar, but in Canada, we got a Mars bar. And I think, geez, maybe they're commemorating themselves, they're highlighting those Caucasians and Europeans, where they came from, but they couldn't find something, so they call the chocolate bar Mars bar. Maybe they're from Mars, I don't know. Because if we were to invent chocolate bars, I don't think we'd call a chocolate bar Mars. And if you do, your own Blackfeet people, see, what a cheap name, Mars, Give it a different name, So we're miles apart of how we think. As long as our own people never, never, ever be pretend Indians. We are real. Look at how many are pretending. And if they're not pretending to be Indian, look at the pretend knowledge. Not all of them, but some of the educators are teaching. They got their stuff from library. Their research method in their way of thinking. And that's the other thing, third point. Blackfeet Community College put a book together on Blackfeet research and methodology. Third point, how we're going to study these. Go up spinonics, our eyes, our ears. Because right now we got the qualitative, quantitative method. Well, we're going to use that, make it come from us. When I did my PhD, I looked at it, the survey, I had to qualify. They wanted me to talk to 3 or 4 elders, a point I'm making. Like them, you have to read 4 citations, 4 professors to make that word. And I said, Bulvidash. And I used lived experience. I cut it right in the middle. All of us here, our mental knowledge capacity in our brains, is it environmentally or genetically? Or both? From our people from long, long, long time ago, since those mountains were there. Our knowledge of transformation, I think it's in us, all of us today. We just have to untap it. Ninna Piiksi, real thinking. Not where we all of us go up to the mountains and everybody pulls out, okay, chapter 3. Okay, you guys, cite them on chapter 3, this is what it means, sentence 14. We do not learn like that. And he goes back to what I said earlier, really sharp listening abilities, attributes, and retaining that in our heads. There's a lot of stuff here. If we were to empty our brains here, we'd be writing volumes of what's inside our heads. But sometimes I wonder, once we write something, are we going to lose it or have we lost it? And sometimes I wonder, once we start writing a whole bunch of things, it's good to write it. Those things you just kind of hard to memorize. But sometimes I wonder if that's the easy, cheap way out. Because right now I could ask all of you that have degrees here, undergraduate, can you tell me that first book you read at college? I don't even know what I read. My first year as freshman, I even forgot the titles. Never mind, I don't even remember the books I read at master's level. But get this, I could still hear the sounds of my grandpa and my granny still in my head. And the songs. They're still in my head. Next one. I just put this in there, wind and dust. As ecological learners, traditional knowledge, everything. The wind, the sun, the moon. We learn everything. In university, there's so many departments, and they kind of don't know one department, so-called specialists, and these silos. Some are starting to come down. There's people in there, they want to go talk to this person, but then those are the ones, I know it all, and yet as need sitapi, this word, holistic learners. We're not specialists per se on one thing, but we specialize in our whole world around us. Okay, I'll be a water expert. I'll be a mountain expert. I'll be a rock expert. No. That encompasses our whole world. And that's the biggest difference that I see in our way of learning versus their way. Why we get degrees in that one, that one, that one. And Grandpa and Granny talk about everything. They didn't even speak English. They never went to school. Yet they talked about everything. Sopoy. What is sopoy? You guys get a lot of wind around here, like us. And like Brockett, we tease them. That's why they're always walking hunchback towards the west wind. In Siksika, they put rocks in their pockets. That way they don't blow east, you know. And Ghana, they're just straight up because they don't even walk around. So you think about dust, ecological learning. What is all in that dirt moving? What is the biodiversity in terms of seeds and microscopic seeds in that dust? We think traditional ecological knowledge is walking on a path, there's trees, everything's green, nice sunny day and all that. Ecological learning and learning from land is year-round for your 100 years. We don't shut it off. But imagine us guys today, even for me, only time I get to be 100% ecological learner is after work, on weekends, when I'm totally absorbed, mountains, swimming, whatever, when I'm out in the earth, nature. Imagine 500 years ago, 300 years ago, even 250 years ago, every day there were in nature our ancestors. 110% into that. And now we have those short opportunities. I'll tell you a little story. I got a pine tree in the front and a poplar tree on the back and the front. I'd say about 3 years ago, I saw a magpie. I'm assuming they're a couple because they had a baby bird, you know. Anyways, a magpie was born and they made a nest. And that little magpie started flying, made a nest on this side. I got 2 outdoor cats. I could bring them in the house. As soon as you open the door, they just jump back out. They're real hillbilly cats. They're not house cats. And my 2 dogs, they're rolling in the snow in Celsius minus 55, blizzard. And my cats are just white looking around, like nothing. I think, geez, see, my cats are crazy, kind of. And you bring them in the house, see, I got a curtain, see, they just drag that whole curtain right down. Okay, get out of here. They jump back out. All right. They're still alive today. Those cats were born outside. They weren't born inside. And so, going back to this magpie, I got a patio. all the other magpies would fly away. And this magpie, as soon as I'm not looking, the dog's over here, quickly goes into the dog dish, grabs dog food, flies away. It's just they're eating. And my dogs and cats, they just look at it. But those other magpies, as soon as they come, oh, the cats are trying to grab the magpie and my dogs growl. Except for that one. I've been observing that magpie for 2 years now. And when I talk about wind, it's like all the nests in the forest here. Look at that. Those nests didn't even budge. We've never stopped to think about nests. Look at how many roofs blew off, shingles. And I don't know if our houses are all leaning like that. And here's this nest, just like that, with the tree, the branches. And you wonder, who is smarter and wiser? Somebody says, yeah, I found 100 nests on the ground in the park where the trees here. I doubt it. We've never stopped to think about the bird flying species. Ecological knowledge, land-based learning, stonatisty, their nests are solid. But we've seen it, but we've never thought about it. All of us have seen nests here. So I'm giving you ideas for your lesson plans, your syllabuses on physics. The power of wind. And sometimes, geez, we don't even have to close our truck doors. Holy cow, you know, get your fingers out of the way. Or you'll be walking around like this, you know. What happened to you? Oh, the wind, you know. But wind here, what is the wind? When the moon was chasing his sons, and one of the gifts was sopoi, the wind. It's up to us to find out what is the gift of wind. What is it? And the elders would say, looking at the sky, it's going to be windy tomorrow. Peg your teepee down and inside. Some teepees today, if they're not pegged down, do move, and then others don't. And the physics of wind, why our teepees are like this, ito taksupo. The wind goes around us versus the square. Miyako matokpatskip, it's going to move. And so, when was the first teepee lodge, I wouldn't say invented, but when did it come to us? How old are teepee lodges? How old? And like the old people would say, long, long, long time ago, and that finger's straight. Starting point here. We just don't know when. So you take all that, the wind, the dust. Now the sad part, most of the dust nowadays is not from grasslands, a little bit, it's from fields. Agriculture, farming. Pesticides, insecticides, all those that we didn't have. especially on the blood reserve when farming really came into being in the 50s. We were supposed to be farmers, no more chasing the buffalo, but then they took farming back. And the first boarding schools, gardens, chickens. They didn't learn anything there, but they're damn good gardeners. My great-grandpa's a gardener. I'm a gardener today. For us, we say we're hunters and gatherers. Well, now, a little bit of limited hunting, a little bit of gatherers, but now we're planters. The only thing we planted 6 gates, we didn't really plant it, we accidentally picked up the seeds of sage, sweet grass, we just put it on the ground. But real planting, tobacco, 6 ago. They still have their tobacco song and tobacco dance. Boarding school, forced learning, vegetables. All that kind of gardening. And some of you said, oh, you know, men don't garden, all that is a women's thing. Okay, tell me, when did the women start gardening? I don't mind feminist thought, but as Blackfeet people, we hold each other like this, equal. And we got this feminist thought, oh, we did this. Okay, when did you guys do that? We all harvested medicines in their natural state. Okanoki, Bucky, Saskatoon, chokecherries, Meeksanitsi, the bullberry, the red berries. All those were harvesters. And when did planting come in, really? That's a good question. I put a year on it, 1884. Unless somebody planted something early 1800s. I'd like to hear that story. And so, next one. Sorry. I'm really sorry. Ecological knowledge. I talked about weather. Let's talk about seasons now. This is by my house. Gonskwe, snow. Over there, just further down, the white. Gonskwe. Our ancestors would know, no radio, no thermometers, of what kind of winter we would have. If it was going to be cold, wet snow, dry snow, a lot of snow, all those. Traditional ecological learning and land-based isn't just summertime. And that's why I find a lot of people that talk about it, it's the utopian, magnificent summer setting. It's year-round for 100 years, your lives. And so the snow, more grass, more water, mountains, all this. If I asked my great-grandpa, Mike, Merchant Blood's wagon, I still have it. I actually rode in that wagon. I think that wagon's from 1885. That's how old it is. The back wheel yesterday just broke off, all dry, you know. And I think, geez, pretty tough life. If it wasn't horseback or your team in the 30s, 40s, 50s, going through the snow in your wagons, Stunnatsi Kitapia, they were tough people. Kitapia. And imagine your TP with snowdrift around from 3, 4, 5, 50,000 years ago. And there wasn't complaint. The grandfather, the father in that teepee, or the grandmothers did not tell you, Mr. Pipoad, get out of bed. Everybody just got up. Survival. Lived experience. So if they knew there was going to be a long winter, cold winter, and how we camped by water and trees, winter time dictated. All these rivers, Bear River, the lakes up here, abundant of wood. We don't give too much credit to the cottonwoods or the poplar tree. They burn longer. We could use anything, but they're hardwood trees. They even knew what will burn longer and which wood kind of pops up. And so it encompasses our survival, all from the wood to camping. Why we find teepee rings in the park in Waterton, and spring, summer, the open. And in the trees and the hills, Itakinapistsia, where the teepees, where the cold wind doesn't hit them directly. Itakinapistsia, warm shelter against the wind and the cold. Itakinapistsia. For the least, and you got little babies. That kind of weather. And the old people would say, winter ni ta'piko. That's why we pray to make it to the next winter. And right now, Agatikai Sakaman still this summer and then next winter. Nakukatsita mi tautuanig mataks so that I make it to the next winter and survive it. Winter and cold is an animal culling thing. And I won't say we're culling this, but who's going to make it in our camp through the winter? The winter sometimes expedites. Sometimes the young and the very old. And why they prayed hard. Very hard. And so you take the whole thing where we camped. We weren't in communities. I don't know, there was 22 clans here in Amskapi Pikani, 24 Gana, and I forget. Anyways, all put together, I estimate we should have had over 60 Blackfeet, Blackfoot reservations. All our clans should have had their own, but we're all punched in. From here to Edmonton, Yellowstone will be all Blackfeet lands, but get them savages out of the way. And we're caged on the reservations. And sometimes it affected the animals too, which I'll get to. So even, fifth point, even though visit those territories that were forbidden when the reservation times came, and Ghana 1884, where the Indian agent, you needed a piece of paper to allow you to leave the reservation. Just a little piece of paper to superintendent. So that way the RCMP and the cavalry will let you go through. I estimate in the 1880s, 84, our knowledge was complete on everything on the reservation, but then the knowledge, Shodo, Great Falls, start being limited. Majorville, Medicine Net, Somme, all that, because we weren't allowed. Our historical knowledge, we were cut off. And today, we're making that reconnection. Why we go visit over there, and we say, it is our land, and we mean it. So there was a disruption of the historical knowledge when reservation. You couldn't leave the reservation. You were put to school over there, boarding school, residential school. And now we're relearning that. It's a sad thought. I like exploring. And some of those lands that are traditionally ours, private farmers, private ranchers, no trespassing, and they got a site that is ours. They got a lot of land. And we're forbidden, then you go past sites all plowed up, a stack of rocks, teepee rings, ceremonial rings, all plowed up. And we've gone through SHIT, and yet we're still here. Thanks to our grandparents, grandmothers, next one. And so here's the river. What time is it? We'll take a break.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do this one and we'll take a break and just run around, scream outside, I'll do one more and, okay, it's the Valley River. Spring melt, Gonsko. Isn't that why without thinking about it, we always look to the mountains, how much water will go through the stream behind our house, our teepees. It's just a natural phenomena. My great-grandma and grandpa, there was a hill. My grandpa crossed the river just to look at mountains. That there was still snow in May, June. The water is going to be good. And sometimes March, April, no more snow in the mountains. And now we got courses on that, PhDs on that. My great-grandparents didn't have PhDs and they knew what the heck was going on, and all your grandparents. Blackfeet knowledge. And so I'll continue on that. Let's take a break. Is it 3 o'clock?
It's a Tatsakui,
What time is it now?
11:30.
Okay. Let's take a 10-minute break because there's some more slides. All right? Okay.
Okay, good to see you.
Yeah. I tell the audience. I guess the Zoomers, we're taking a 10-minute break, and people on Zoom, just 5 minutes for you guys. And some of you may have heard the word too, like, when the water comes from the mountains, water flowing from the mountains, and Mistakis, you probably all know that. So that connection, we knew about it before settlers came. We knew water, the measurement. Now, let me tell you a quick story on this. In the summer, I was wondering why my grandma would put a stick during the day. And just quickly go back to that first slide. I'm going to show something. Keep going. Right there. in summer, I wondered why my grandma would put a stick, and my great-grandfather Mike, and I even seen my dad do it. They put a stick right here at the, summertime, no ice. They'll put a stick during the day. And then when the sun barely went down, they kind of measured, a little bit later it got dark. And right where during the day, the sun out, the stick would be there. And when it got dark, here's the stick, and we got dark, the water was over here. And they would put another stick, my grandma Bruised Head, and my great-grandpa, and I saw my dad doing it. So I asked my grandma, kokos. The water. That during the day, the heat and the sun makes the water expand. When at night, as if it goes in. And I said, Aksa ochtan sishpi. Can you make it as to that the rocks got colder and the water got cold and the mud got cold. And so that, and it's not a lot sometimes, this much, maybe more, but I saw it. When you're a 6-year-old, 7-year-old kid, you're fascinated. I never knew that. And that you will never find in no library book. No library. And I wondered, because they used to drive the wagon I showed you, horseback. Scam you. Why was it feel deeper at night versus crossing the river during the day? And that the water expanded and it got hot. And it got cold, it went like this. I still think about that, gee. Absolutely amazing thing. And I think back, horses came, or raids, or planning, crossing rivers. There must be in a way that people way before knew that's how the water played out. And TEK, traditional ecological knowledge, land-based learning, most of it, if not all of it, you had to have been there. Lived experience. You had to have been there and lived it or did it. And that knowledge is never going to be written in a book. And you guys do your own experiment. Even if it's this much or that much, you'll see the water just kind of came together. I still find that amazing. And my grandma. And I told my grandma, that is dad, old man Mike. And I never told the old man out of respect, how do you know that? You don't question your grandparents, great-grandparents of that. So I found that amazing. I started thinking about the wagon and riding across at night. Interesting. Okay, go back to the... Okay, just stuck here. That's a swimming there, the beaver lodge. And I took a picture, I didn't include there, the beaver trail. All the branches that cut down and swam across. Nita paika pu takiks takiks. The beavers are one of the hardest working water beings. Building houses, swimming across. You put that in the nest, all the commotion, and beavers and otters, river otters. And today we have a pipe dance honoring the beaver. So you could see the animal kingdom to our ceremonial. That dance is like a hard-working dance. Beaver bundle. Just when there's owners here. I'm not going to go too deep out of respect. And so I've seen the beaver chew up the tree, drag it, strong teeth, strong swimmers, and that's kind of wide and built across the river on the bank. They're hard workers. The higher the hut, the colder the winter. And again, that wasn't written before, but now people have written about it. And so, we talk about water beds, the Iniskim, the weather, the seasons. Now we're going into water. Next one. Matsisepi, the herring, and I couldn't find the sandhill crane. These animals are all in our bundles, different ones. Honoring them. Does Western science honor them? No darn way. We do. We give something back to them. Itanistutua, itapasku, and the songs. Matsisepi. Now we're going into the water flying beings. Ninna Piiksi. And I found a name for that. They called it Sofa Mountain. Talked to elders, talked about my grandpa. Ini is Tsukuyistaku. Buffalo Slide Out Mountain. Ini is Tsukuyistaku. And I tell the parks, whoever, Sofa Mountain. Why didn't you call it Chesterfield or Lazy Boy Mountain? Sofa Mountain is so European, it's named after a couch or a chair. If you think about it. And yet, our elders, it's a nohka, old name. Ini is Tsukuyistaku, Buffalo Slide Out Mountain, and there's a story behind it. Imagine, we're a million miles apart. We have to take back our geography, our waters, our mountains. We have to. They're never going to do it. In fact, they'll be stingy, probably fight us, but that's okay. We have to change, and we use the word decolonize. We have to start that process, even just a little thing to major things. I'll give you a sixth one. Blackfeet Community College, do a Blackfoot encyclopedia. And using the Roman orthography A to Z. You got the capacity here, you got the knowledge. You're smart here. Imagine a Blackfeet encyclopedia. Start small and just keep adding. and publish it. And give me one for sure. Don't be stingy with it. So Punokaki, make sure you give me an encyclopedia. Don't be stingy. Okay? Oh, and the prairies, where prairies meet the mountains. That's pretty unique. We kind of take that for granted. Other places have foothills. Here, grass into mountains. Other places, all trees or desert. Here, we're pretty unique. Our land base is magical. But sometimes we don't think about it. Next one. Here's my area, just 5 minutes from my house. And this is double slide out. Natsikapohka. Double slide out cliff or hills. And that's the old man. So right where I'm at, I took the picture. I was standing right there. And so, again, there's 15,000-year plus buffalo, 4-layer buffalo jump. Dirt, skulls, dirt, skulls, dirt, skulls. I'm still trying to figure that out. Because sometimes this is one mass layer of skulls. This one has dirt in the intervals. And it's behind my backyard. I've been there. I've taken people. And I'm not taking no archaeologists, dirt diggers. No. And rather than call it Ninna Piiksi buffalo jump, they're going to call it Mrs. Jones buffalo jump. Or Miss Josephine buffalo jump, you know? That entitlement they feel. We have to retire. You tell them, you're not entitled. Who are you to name yourselves on our lands? We'll have to make that loud and clear. There's still diggers out there, and some very far-fetched names that erodes the history of that finding. Continue. Sapa kutohka, double slide out. Sapa kutohka. Okay, next one. Here's 4 badgers, Nisum Misinskings. They're just young. It's on my roadway, and they turned there, right there, just parked there and shut off. All looking at me. And one, ikawukapsi, one that was stronger, courageous, ikawukapsi of the 4. These kind of ran that way, and that one looking at me, just a little one. Kind of like that. I'll take you on. Oh, okay. Imagine the other 3 and 1 turned around, protecting the other 3. And they're probably born at the same time, but one protecting the other 3. Watching the younger siblings. Right there. And then porcupine. There used to be a transfer of ceremony from the grandmas before to the young girls. It's lost now. Let's do it as it is before you start working with porcupine quills. There was not a huge ceremony, but in-family ceremony for a grandmother, elder. So some things that we've lost. Transferred to work with porcupine quills. And even the song is lost, so we just do it, which is okay. And those are the old, before the Czechoslovakian beads came in on there. The headdresses, the straight up, all that, and dyeing and coloring the porcupine quills. Now, I don't know which other nations use porcupine. Everything, it's almost like the artwork here, our lands, our boundaries, our territories. And sometimes, like I keep saying, we forget the uniqueness of our people, our knowledge. We have to elevate it, raise it again, go back to bring it back. Bring it back. We need to. Next one. This is Prairie Lands and Red Rock Coulee by 7 persons towards Sa Medicine Hat. They look like red buffaloes. Red Rock Coulee. Middle of nowhere, all these rocks. And the old stories, when the buffalo were on the run from the monsters, they hit there, turned into stone. Elder story, not mine. Old stories. And you could barely see Sweetgrass Hills. And these are the rocks. If I keep going there, I'll turn into a rock, so I better not. Next. And now, when we say traditional ecological knowledge, I got a stick that only goes so far. Brought friends there. And they said, Ninna Piiksi, your stick had a spear, and you look like an old warrior. Why put that shadow warrior? And I thought about it too, and I was standing there, just looking, those rocks, I did feel something. And they took a picture. Look at that shadow. I'm just standing there. The stick was only here. Next thing, an arrow, spearhead. And if I recall, I did feel something nukaki in my back. I think, gee, Itapisco, in those places that we say Itapisco, there's still spirits there. So whatever, why that, something showed itself in the shadow. I'm amazed too. Whatever was there with us that day. And the Red Rock Buffalo Stones, look at them. Just in that place. They're not that way, just in that coulee, Red Rock Coulee. And I prayed for it, put the back on. So I must have woke up something, or something heard my prayers. I didn't play it out, it just happened. And we talk about traditional ecological knowledge. How many professors will have that experience? Like all of you probably had been someplace and you felt something. How many of them? They can't even connect with their own spirit, if they have one. I really wonder about the Napiquags, if they're empty or you got something there. I don't know. But I know some people they'll make damn good Blackfeet Indians, and they're not Blackfeet, but they're so in tune with us. I got friends like that. Kind of like they know what's going on. There's no color. Then the others over there that want to be the experts, but they don't know their content. Continue. I gave this the whole page. Prairie chicken. The chicken dancers. How we got the dance and song. Kitoki. Kitoki. This one's dancing. And most of these pictures are mine, a few from friends. And I saw this one, somebody else took this. My great-grandpa Mike brought me across the river, holding me in water. Kitiki, right to where the log house was, right across. And standing, like that, by the river bank over there. I was 6 years old. So I was young, I used to dance. Chicken dance, but I got tired of winning. So I gave Marvin Weatherwax Jr. a chance to win. So imagine, lived experience, our way of life, how we've incorporated all those things. It's stomatopia. We embodied them. Western science is cold. You close chapter 12 again. They got lots to learn from, but there's a refusal. That colonial thought, the superiority. Oh, you Blackfeet can't be smarter than us. Well, too bad, we are. And I've said that. We are. Because I'll tell them, sing me a song. Go. Besides that chicken dance, they go like that. So yeah, I gave it a whole page. And imagine how long have we been dancing like that? Long time. Yeah. And any other tribes borrowed it. Next one. This is Hoyt's teepee rings. This rock here and right here. Last summer during Kipa conference, 3 field trips. And Hoyt's teepee rings are just across Whiskey Gap. Not far from there, we're walking around and it was raining, it was cold last June on that Thursday. So I touched this blue rock here, blue color. Gee, it was just hot. Oh, skakes, the sun wasn't out, nothing. And then I stood in the middle and I touched that rock. Those other rocks, they were cold. That one, they're both hot. This one that joined our tour, Ninna Piiksi, what are you doing? I didn't want to tell anybody. I was saying, okay, do I stay stingy with what I just found? This is last June, 2025. Pusapot, Ruby, that's where I stood. Touch that rock and that rock. Oh, it's hot. Yeah, now touch that rock. And touch that one. Gee, cold. Touch that one. Which is hotter? That one. And this one was warm. Finally, other people. What are you guys doing? I just happened to be there, and every time I go out walking, I pray, oh, kinukatumatappi. Oh, people, forgive me. I didn't mean to wake you up. Teach me. Through the dream, I didn't come to I didn't mean to wake you up to or to offend you. Always pray. I just happened to standing there, I touched it. First I was going to dig it up. Next thing turned out to 10 people, their eyes all went big. Don't say it is a powerful spot, as other people call it, a very powerful vortex, zone, ground, whatever. It's still there. And so I told him, don't tell anybody. I don't want no crazy fool digging it up just to bring home. Some of these are meant to be left alone. So that's the Hoyt TP rings, 80 TP rings like that, all along this ridge, this hill. 80 of them. So where's Whiskey Gap from here? Right across. So those that can't go across to Canada, well, revive Whiskey Gap, you'll be all right. Okay, next one. Sokawaka seeks antelope on the prairie, antelope in the grain. The animals, they've had to adjust like us being put on reservations. The animals have limited spaces today. Farming, land, oil, whatever. They're suffering like us. A lot of their food source and their freedom of space limited today. And they've adjusted like we have, eating barley and wheat now instead of grass. It's like us. Look at all the food that's foreign to us. Diabetes, heart disease, on and on and on. Almost all dietary. I don't know what happens to them and other animals eating foreign food. I really wonder. Imagine now they're eating barley, which they never had. The antelope and the emu are one of the oldest prairie mountain animals, species, mammals. They're from the past. They have also their habitat, their biodiversity has also changed for the betterment of industrial revolution, agricultural revolution, and money. Next. Milk River Badlands, Sweetgrass Hills. This is towards the end. This is where it comes back into the States, Montana. A lot of stories from there. And Sweetgrass Hills over there. And this is what I mean. We're reconnecting to our environment that we weren't allowed in the 1880s, 1830s, even 1840s. And now we're going out there. At least I am. I am not going to be confined to that cage in the walls of the reservation boundaries. I'm going to bust them down. And I have. I've been all over the place. And I think, gee, Gas and Nunix are old people new. So this is their territory. I'm going to reconnect. So we have to do that. That way we're not just reservation thinkers, learners. We're beyond that. Beyond. Next one. Blackfoot Division Quest Site, Milk River Badlands. Thousands of years old. And I didn't want to sit in there. I sat there praying and meditating. Prayed real hard and looking around. I don't know how many, whoever, I thought, what gift did they get from the spiritual world, from the... Everybody got fed and they took the food home. I guess just to slowly wrap up, this is Napi's playground, close to the headwaters of Napi, the Old Man River. And that's another whole story on this, why it's called Napi's playground. Napi or Napi where Napi had a hand games with the animals and he lost. And so all this history, and it's off reservation, but these are areas that we need to stick with the name, apply the name, and include it on maps. And the other one, same thing, is the Vimy Ridge. Went up there last August. So I've been riding through the trails up in Waterton, and even naming the trails. So we're taking Waterton back. Okay, continue. Okay, this is a picture that my brother Dexter took. Let me talk about communications and psychology. You know, here's a coyote and a bear club. They're playing. And my brother happened to be driving, worked for the park last year.
And a lot of tribes claiming our territory, especially in Missoula, they're naming everything Salish. And I've been having some debates with people over that. And I've been telling some people there that this is our territory. And they're like, how? I was like, there's pictographs all the way around. They said, well, could you show us pictures? And so, as an artist, with the influence of rock garden and winter counts, I'm on that kind of mission, taking back what was taken from us, our designs and our stories and everything. Also, like you said, our land, reminding people that this is ours and we've always been here.
You know, on one hand, we've been kind of polite, but I think that politeness is over. You know, people have taken advantage of that. Well, I pray lots and all that, everything, but I think it's time of being aggressive. Bear Gulch by Lewiston, right? And I was going to put a whole bunch of petroglyphs, but I didn't want to go on and on. And Teepee Rings, Yellowstone Park. Bighorn Medicine Wheel. I asked that question. I've been down there. Nobody didn't answer, but I heard old stories, you know, that our tribe members went over there and some never came back. Why do they call it Blackfoot, Idaho? There's a whole story behind that. So, Joe Wagner, Suda calling last, a number of us were documenting that Blackfeet, Blackfoot map of all the sites in our territory, and we're still putting more and more on. That's what I said earlier. I'm not going to defeat myself because our elders have been here, our people, like you say, 1850, 60,000 years ago, and other people weren't. I ain't going to apologize for that. If they got through there from contemporary statutes and laws and political, you know, realms, I'm not interested in that. Gistunnu nagasamita patapiyo. We've been here for ages. Thousands and thousands of winters. I make no apology. That's our ancient people's material. I have studied a lot of, and teepee rings you saw. I go out, prairie, mountain, wherever I can. And I want to go into those private ranches that have no trespassing sign. And so imagine Indian agents, if we're still allowed to travel, we'd still have all those stories, everything intact. Right to Billings, beyond Billings, you know. And I have seen a lot of petroglyphs, rock cairns, Majorville medicine, even the name Majorville, you know, Sundial Butte, bunch of stuff in Alberta. And the teepee rings, southwest of Shoto, Montana. Shoto, Nisuitapi, is the Blackfeet name. And my father was named Nisuitapi. He was raised here till he was 7 years old, Chester. Nisuitapi, that's where he got his name. And Umksikimi, Big Lake and his band, the chief, is very north of, you know. All the way to Missoula. We've done our research, we're not just spouting on them. These are Blackfeet, Blackfoot sites. You know, that's what I'm saying. Why should I go like, okay, yeah, no. And I oppose that Viskan in all nations. I don't agree with that. It's sixikate, it's amskabi pikani sixikate to be Buffalo Biscan. And so I'll keep saying that. And yet I've had more good reception saying those things because they don't have a story. We do. We have our point of origin stories. Where we came from, how we started, and just listen to our sacred songs and the beats. You look at the teepee transferring to the rattle, fever bundle, awanan. Who else does that? Those newcomers don't even come close and never will. Never will. That's just how it is. I'm not even calling them down, but who knows the best? Who knows more? Who knows longer? Kistundu, us. I make no bones about that. You know, in Canada, Alberta, we got our own battles there, people trying to claim land that aren't even from there. So I appreciate that comment, yeah, but you're not alone. There's a whole bunch studying petroglyphs and finding them.
We have a question in the Zoom chat. One lady asked, when publishing work, how did you go about citing evidence? TEK, in-person conversations, your maps, your dreams. She said, her question is a bit of a white-centered question, but Blackfeet students know our language is critical and we know more than valid, but how can we prove this through citations?
Well, again, the publishers, the citation, APA format, edition 7, 8, 900, whatever they're going to lead up to, you know, we are telling the story. We have all the evidence. And if it's not in their readings, their libraries, then it's not considered a valid citation. And yet, personal communication with elders, that is now considered as references. So of the academic setting, that's a whole different world. And I don't necessarily follow that because I'm My grandparents never lied to me. They told stories through lived experience of their ancestors and great-grandparents. And it's not written. And that's what I started off this morning. Our oral transmission of history versus the written. And so that's still the written criteria. Writing, writing, writing. And yet, we've even proven. And the people I tell, go to a Blackfoot site. Ask around, they'll bring you there if you're in, good spirit with it. So I don't necessarily follow the academic citation, but it's unfortunate in terms of publishing, and so I've asked people, we need our own publishing companies. Our own. And not that we're going to set criteria, but how we are, like I said this morning, giving our elders their own PhDs, the way we see it, and not through academic written narratives and literature. So I may not have answered the question, but I've given you a pretty opposite objective view.
Just kind of a quick question and something we've probably all thought of before, but how do we get people to stop being afraid to be, to experience and to learn, to take part when we're so fractionated out? How do we get to a consensus where we have a baseline of knowledge to where we don't have to be afraid to go to a ceremony or participate or anything like that? Do you have a theory on how we get past, if, say somebody was interested, how do they start?
Yeah. Well, it goes back to my poster, and I'll just hold it up.
This one?
That one. It goes back to exactly, we're sick of your shit. Racism, discrimination, putting our heads down, fear. We have to go past that psychological, pushback in our own head. Think courageous. This is our land. Rancher, farmer, academician, redneck person can kick you out, but at least put the last word in before they close the gate. This is our land. They don't like it and never will. But we're being factual. We're not even making it up. Racism, stereotyping, systemic racism. I'm not saying everybody to be hell raisers, but stand your ground. That is why I challenged the university. I would have taken them to court. 3 Supreme Court decisions were elders, and verbal testimony was allowed in the highest court. I was going to use that to defend my thesis, all in Blackfoot. And the president that day understood that and allowed me. Boy. I pushed it. I pushed their agenda back. How many universities in Montana are going to allow a Blackfeet student to defend in Blackfeet? How many? This is where you check around for your own legal rights, cases, case law, and just simply being brave. We have all the right. And you guys have your articles, your Congress, freedom of speech, human rights. Use them to the hilt. Use them to the hilt. So all these missionaries, our grandparents, they couldn't leave the reserve boarding schools and Haskell, Kansas, and where all those other schools. Keep going. Someone stay kakimak. go beyond the boundaries of Mskapikani, Blackfeet Reservation. Shake it up. Do it peacefully, professionally. But there's other means, and I'm not going to go into that. So yes, get over, and that's why I use cognitive learning. How vast, or are we like that? Are we cutting ourselves short? Go beyond that. Nike swatsiku book. Do not fear. Do not let it dictate. I'm going into psychology now. Don't let it fear dictate to you. And like I said, all these towns in Canada here, Alberta, how do we cure stupid people? I'm doing a presentation on that. Give them pills. Tell them to hold their hands out and hit each fingernail with a hammer. Then put on a bunch of wires on there and plug it in. How do you cure stupid people? And you wonder if it's stupidity or just total ignorance and their brain can't. And that's the edge we have. We are very open-minded. We can actually live in their world, and we've got our world too. Them, they can't. They just know one thing. Sad reality. And so I was going to end off and I forgot. Let's have a task force. Here, 4 tribes, scholars, elders, whoever, and study them. We've been studied. Let us study them. And their racism, all that, is it their fear? What are they fearing? And if you're to tell a very racist person why you're racist, I bet you hear the darnest things that don't make sense. And so, in their Sunday teachings or gospel camps, I'm not calling them down, but for the sake of not bequacks, it's right in their scriptures, I forget which page, love one another. It's a fallacy on their part, not on us. Love one another. They don't even understand their thick book. And I'm not calling it down, but if you're going to follow it, like somebody said, it's a damn good book if you understand it. I've only read a few pages, I could speak Latin, I don't even know what I'm saying. Forced on me. I could even sing 2 Latin songs, I don't even know what I'm singing. So that's the whole thing. The exercise, like these Hoyt's tape hearings, they're not on the blood reserve. Sundial Butte is not on the blood reserve. Those Red Rock Coulee are not on the blood reserve, even though that was our traditional land. And it seems that when you go to these sites, you kind of feel good, geez. You don't feel entrapped. It's a good feeling. And geez, I've been here. What was I fearing all along? And some of those might be right and just, but at least we got to overcome that. Really. And like I said earlier, this college has the capacity, and that's the thing. I don't know if Blackfeet psychology is taught here. Erickson, all those people, psychologists. But here's the other thing. Bring in your own psychologists here. Establish your own program here. Everything that they're doing, bring it here, but our way. But like I say, let's have a task force on Napiquaks and Napiakiks. Why they are the way they are. It'd be interesting, because we've never really studied them. We just kind of followed. Well, let's have I don't know, someplace they call it Indigenous Studies, Native American Studies. Well, let's have Caucasian Studies in Blackfeet Community College. Be a pretty interesting course. You know, be really interesting. Because we've been studied to death and we haven't studied them. Shoe on the other foot. Then that way we could, oh, what's in your brain? I don't even want to use the word, but what's in your brain? I don't want to serve as elders here. You know, why do they think the way they do? Let us reverse it and stare at them. Why are you the way you are? Basketball games, football games, wagon burners, savages, go to your reservation. You go back to Wales, England, Ireland, wherever. You know? They encroached us, and that's what I keep saying. We need to push back. You know? And not give up. And I tell high school students, college students, never put your head down. Because they like to see that visual thing, that body language. Don't do that. Stare them in the eye. See who blinks first. You know? It's almost like I'm starting to sound like a preacher. To do unto them what they've done unto us. Start preaching. Yeah, really. Reverse psychology is the deepest power we have. Reverse psychology. You know? And yet, we're still kind people. I've got non-natives, they're darn good friends. They don't go that way. We just need more of them. And interesting, the non-native friends that I have, they will even tell you in Alberta, that's a redneck community, those are rednecks. This is a white person telling, even the white people that are open-minded know their own rednecks. I find that pretty good. I don't have to say rednecks, they'll say it. Hey, who's a redneck? Oh, that one. No, okay. You know. Yeah. Any questions? Any more on the line?
No, none more on the line. Marin has one.
Tired of your shit.
I'm not sure if I have questions or just a couple of comments. One of the things you're talking and showing some of your animals and the landscapes, oftentimes a lot of it comes down to mobility, money. But the thing is especially on our campus, we've got an amazing place right here. We're not outside enough. I spend a lot of time down in that wetland. I have some bird friends that come back every year. I don't know if anyone else feels that way about those birds, but they're the same birds that come back every year.
Yeah.
And the bugs, the plants. So I think even just the plants we try to put green grass out here on our lawns, but our native plants are coming through because, that's where they belong. So I think that's one of the things, listening to you is that just being, even where you're at, you can find traditional ecological knowledge or the nature. The second thing, just like taking things back, I feel like here, I've really been trying to take back the library. Let's make this a place of learning, a Blackfeet place of learning. And, I've given interviews where the books are put aside on purpose because they're not the main reason that's not how we learn. We do a lot of experiential, a lot of arts, a lot spaces like that, that the Western education can be very powerful, but our educations also should be, put to the forefront, and that can, be the supplement alongside.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you, Mayor.
I like reading. I read anything. I offended her. When I said I like reading, she walked out. I like reading. Turn into an introvert, but I'm also outdoor. And if we balance that, we'll go a long ways, or even raise this natural learning, I keep calling it. All of you who probably can write or teach a program on ecological learning. You've been there, you've done that. And I'm sure now all of you are going to kind of pay attention to the waterbed, to the rivers, the river banks. Look what you may find. And so I'll tell you a story. That log house used to have a picture, the first, and I was only a little kid, and I didn't know my great-grandma was looking at it through the small window. It was fall time, the leaves were kind of falling, and little chickadees, it's just 6. And I was all by myself, a little bit of breeze. I held my breath. I did that about 2 days, nothing. About third, fourth day, one landed on my arm, and I had both arms out. During a few days after that, I had about 5 and maybe 6 on this. I didn't want to breathe because I thought I'll scare them away. Not that I play with them, but I was pretending to be a tree. When you say birds, I was pretending to be a branch. I was just a little kid. And I wonder about that too. If those same chickadees ever went to another person. Probably not, because I never seen it when I was down there. I had no kids to play with. And I didn't make up friends. Hey, Mike. Okay, Joe, how are you? I'm fine. I didn't go into that because then grandparents probably sent me to a nut house. I got to the tops, it's going crazy. Probably sent me to Panuca Mental Institute, So it comes to books. Publishing, more Blackfeet authors, printing there. Those will be real readings and real books. We're losing elders. Tape them, record them, ask them first, can we record you? We want to keep it. There'll be more than, but they'll say too, make sure just, the citation. Just respect that. Do not plagiarize, do not sell it without their consent. And then how many papers have we done? Masters, PhD, that have been filed away and never been used. How many? Lots. We go through the rigmarole of all the steps of doing the thesis, and we're all sweating it when we're going to defend them. Oh, you passed. You got your master's or PhD. It's up to us to use our own material in case they don't. And do they say, that one gone? Okay, recruit some more PhD candidates. Hopefully we're just not a machinery of numbers going and get our PhD then out. How come the universities that I've heard do not utilize their PhD graduates? How come they don't call them back? It's a brain drain. So here, PhD people here, you make use of your own educated people. But like I say, balance it with needs to be happy. It's got to be kind of thought. Yeah.
Okay. Somebody else? We done?
Mr. Bruised Head, I just wanted to let you know first who I am. My name is Wilma, and my course is Bear Medicine. I'm from Star School. I understand that I'm related to you through Little Leaves, Yellowhorns, and
Chief,
I
chief,
think that's
ch-
all.
chief,
My grandma,
chief moons.
yes, Harold, and Curly Riders, yeah, all of those are my relatives. My dad, Joe Bear Medicine, he made a statement once. My dad was very political. He used to go to Washington DC with Earl Okerson, George Okerson, Willie Redfern, quite a few of those delegations would go down and speak for people. But one thing my dad said, and I'll never forget it, he said that the best way to meet the white man on his own ground is to get an education. And I'm really proud of this college that we have because many of us got our starts here. I've been a teacher all my life. And I graduated from Bible college. I went to New York State. I taught there at a Bible college. Up here, I got my Title VII certification. I could teach in any one of these schools, bilingual. And I'm just, of course we lost, I'm Scotty begun, we lost our language because of boarding schools. So we don't use our language every day, like you folks do up in Afghanistan. So we just kind of lost it, but we're getting into it, and I'm really proud of this college because, like, our 3-year-olds, when I taught at Head Start, we start from 3-year-olds. We start teaching them all the way up, and you could go to university in Missoula and get a degree in teaching Blackfeet, which, I don't know whoever started this Blackfeet Community College, but we owe them, we really owe them. And I just wanted to say that I'm glad that I came to see Marvin Witherett. They said, Peter Bruised Head is down here, and I said, hey, he's my relative, so I came down to this.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, does this conclude our presentation?
So when I say elders, Harold, my grandpa Victor, Dan, Maggie, Ruth. My grandpa was Victor Chief Moon, and their father was Chief Moon, and Chief Moon's father was me, Case Red Crow, all the way down. And so that's where I got a lot of my teachings on my mother's side, and on my father's side, like I said, Mike Merchant, Blood, Louise Spotted Eagle, Genevieve Bruised Head, Genevieve Blood Bruised Head, Pete Bruised Head. And then all these other, I used to, I guess, drive elders around, and I like to think I know how to take care of elders because that's who raised me, And and I totally agree. Keep getting educated because, like I say, and come back and help your people because it's how, like the old people would say, you'll have your words, your talk, but you could understand and speak their language. And like right now, I could challenge a PhD, a lawyer, a judge, anything. I could talk their talk. And I am also a certified teacher from back then, and I teach for University of Calgary, work in the School of Education, Masters in Education. And I've been doing that, every other Saturday for 6 years. So I teach at the university level, and I think eventually I'm going to be teaching PhD courses. And I'll be going out to Washington to teach a summer lecture in May. Get the students way out there. Then I might be also going to Montana State. And yeah, and again, shared mixed class, I don't mind. That way the Napiquacs will start understanding where we're coming from, Yeah, so yeah, I'm glad you met my Uncle Harold, all of them. Appreciate that, yeah. Miss all of them, and they're pretty wise people, pretty smart. Yeah. Hun?
Right. This was great, this was awesome. Thank you guys for sticking it out and being here with us. Let's give Dr. Bruised Head and Ninna Piiksi one more round of applause. Personally speaking, I always learn something from my elder, my relation too. And it's good that we have these connections, and it's good that we can gather all kinds of knowledge from the 68, it could be from the Confederacy. So with that, we'll conclude. Do you have any closing remarks?
Yeah.
All right, well, again.
Ken.
Hey.